Take a step inside a highly structured corporate office in Kuala Lumpur. Before you even sit down, your role is defined. The processes are set. Every action, down to the rhythm of the keystrokes around you, operates on a predetermined grid. This environment is the direct result of the classical management approach. Formulated over a century ago, this philosophy views an organization not as a gathering of people, but as a perfectly calibrated machine. The blueprint for this machine came from theorists like Frederick Taylor. Through his method of scientific management, Taylor observed workers with stopwatches and clipboards, searching for the one best way to complete any task through strict standardization. Thinkers like Max Weber and Henri Fayol scaled that logic to the entire company. They prioritized rigid bureaucratic rules, clear divisions of labor, and a strict hierarchy of authority to maintain total order. To maintain this machine, Fayol defined the scalar chain. This dictates that communication flows strictly one way, from the top of the pyramid down to the workers. Information takes the form of orders and directives. It rarely travels back up. In this system, communication is exclusively formal and task-related. Employees are treated as individual cogs, rational economic assets who operate in isolation from their peers, motivated entirely by their paycheck. At scale, this classical machine generates intense operational efficiency, but it operates on a significant blind spot. It ignores the psychological and social reality of the humans operating it. Fast forward to a modern tech startup in that same Kuala Lumpur business hub. The rigid grid is gone. The environment hums with conversation, shared desks, and collaboration. This environment owes its existence to the human relations approach. The shift began in the 1920s with experiments at the Western Electric Company, led by Elton Mayo, known as the Hawthorne Studies. Mayo's team altered lighting and break schedules, expecting to find the perfect physical conditions for productivity. Instead, productivity rose regardless of what they changed. The researchers realized the workers were responding to the attention they were receiving. They were complex social beings, and their output increased when they felt seen, valued, and socially connected to their peers. This realization changed how information moves within an organization. The top-down directives of the scalar chain were supplemented by multi-directional dialogue, encouraging horizontal collaboration between peers and upward feedback to management. Psychologists like Abraham Maslow and Frederick Hertzberg expanded on this, proving that a paycheck only covers basic physical needs. True motivation requires fulfilling deeper psychological drives, the need for belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. These principles are highly visible in high-context workplace cultures, like those in Malaysia. Here, informal social dynamics, budi bahasa, or professional courtesy, and psychological safety are critical components of daily operations. The human relations approach suggested that an organization's long-term stability relies on internal relationships and the emotional well-being of its workforce, not just its rules. This graphic compares the two approaches side by side. The classical approach defines organizations as machines focused on efficiency and role specialization. The human relations approach defines them as collections of people, prioritizing motivation and actively valuing employee input. Their communication styles sit at opposite ends of the spectrum. One demands strict, written, top-down directives. The other relies on open, face-to-face, multi-directional dialogue. These two approaches highlight a struggle found in every workplace: the mandate for predictable control versus the human need for empowerment and connection. Back in the trendy startup, Farah sits in a beanbag chair. The environment feels relaxed, right up until her screen flashes an automated performance warning generated by a tracking algorithm. Curious, slightly skeptical, it raises a critical question. Are modern organizations truly human-centered, or are they simply classical bureaucracies wrapped in a casual aesthetic? The reality is a hybrid model. To survive the complexity of a globalized economy, successful organizations cannot choose just one theory. They synthesize both. Classical theory thrives today. Companies managing massive logistics networks rely heavily on Taylorist algorithms, efficiency metrics, and strict procedural guidelines to track worker output. At the same time, companies like Google apply Mayo's principles by prioritizing coaching, psychological safety, and emotional intelligence to drive problem-solving and innovation. This synthesis is tested during high-stakes events, like a sudden economic downturn or energy shock. Hybrid organizations will immediately rely on classical hierarchies to quickly cut overhead and stabilize operations. But they deploy human relations communication strategies, open town halls, voluntary separation schemes, and empathetic messaging to maintain trust and protect the dignity of their staff. Audit your own workplace. Look at the software you use, the way your manager speaks to you, and how decisions are handed down. Every office is an ongoing experiment, trying to find the balance between the relentless demand for efficiency and the human need for connection.